I want to thank you for your giving on that offering. I heard something this week kind of troubled me. I heard a guy, we were talking to work, and he said, it seems like just everybody's begging for money right now. And, I was thinking about it, I thought, it's easy to think that when you don't need anything. My house ain't under water. There's people standing in long, long lines for what I just, care what it is. Wasn't about it, think about it. I just, to reach over and get you a bottle of water, get a drink, and that's a big deal. So, I know the Lord's going to bless us, but even if He wasn't going to, it's still the right thing to do.
Amen.
Are you with me? Amen. So I just thank you for your giving. I know He will bless us, and I'm excited about that. I know He's going to bless them, which that's really what we're all about. We're going to be in Philippians 4. Philippians 4. We're in the series now, The Real Jesus. And last week we talked about Him being progressive. He's moving forward. He's not stagnant. And those are the exact traits we have to follow Him. We can't expect to be following Jesus if we're stagnant, because He's not going to be. To follow Christ, we have to take on the characteristics of Christ. So we're going to continue in that today. Philippians 4, 8 through 9. If you would please stand to read the Word. The Bible says in Philippians 4, 8, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put into practice. And the God of peace will be with you. I'll read that again. And the God of peace will be with you. Let's go to prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you so thankful for today. Thankful for the opportunity to gather with like-minded believers, Lord, and just seek more of you, learn more about you so that we can take on those characteristics. Lord, we ask that you bless each and every individual here. Open our hearts to receive exactly what you have for us. And everybody says, amen and amen. In Hebrews 13:5 it says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. The second thing I titled here is The Real Jesus. That's the series. The sermon here, The Real Jesus is right now. The real Jesus is right now. Many people, and I'm going to say this, many Christians find themselves in a spiritual gap. We read the Bible, we read it, we read all the way from Genesis, on, where we learn about what the Lord has done, all the great things the people of God have done, and all these things that have happened. And we read about them, and they are something that was, right? And we read about these, and then we go on later in the Bible, and we begin to read about what's going to happen, heaven, and the rapture, and all these things, and we read about what's going to happen. And oftentimes, as Christians, we find ourselves in the gap here of what was and what will be, but there's nothing right now. Right? There's nothing really right now. And who knows, the problem with that is that we live in right now. This is where we're at. It's the most important time, is right now. So, like I said, this isn't a new problem. This is something that's been happening for a long time. People, they think they know about, they read about what has been, and that's cool, and that's exciting, and that's great. And we read about what's going to be, and that's really exciting, and that's really great, and that's really good. But then there's, right now, just I get through. I make it. Can't wait till then. That was great. Can't wait till then. And right here, we're just kind of struggling, trying to make it. Trying to do what's best. The Bible talks about it, kings, that they did what was right in their own eyes. Sometimes I think that happens to us. We just think, I'm just going to try to do the best I can right now. Who knows we serve a God of right now? Yes. We serve a Jesus of right now. Yes. He did a lot of great things back when, and He's going to do a lot of great things tomorrow. But right now, the Bible says He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Yes. And He's doing a lot of great things. Like I said, this isn't a new deal. This isn't something that just happened recently. The Pharisees struggled with this very thing, right? The Pharisees struggled with this gap because, see, they taught the law. They taught what used to be. They taught the Old Testament. And they taught it, and then they taught about what was coming, the Messiah, this great leader who was going to be like David. And they taught this, and they lived in this gap, just like we're talking about. So when Jesus came, the gap filler, right? Yeah. When Jesus came and showed up, they didn't get it. They didn't understand. Why in the world is this guy coming? You know, Jesus was teaching a lot of the same stuff the Pharisees was as far as Old Testament. Right? When he was teaching, he was telling stories about what had happened. But people were reacting a lot different to him. People were reacting a lot bigger. If you take notes, I want you to write something down because I think this is good. Memories are never as exciting as the moment. Memories are never as exciting as the moment. Honestly, tell me today, when you think back to when you married your spouse, do you feel the same thing you felt the very moment it happened? No. Right? Because it's a memory. It's not the same. When I think about when Bradley was born, or when Abby was born, I like it. I like thinking about it. It was exciting. It was good. But I don't have the same exact feeling I had when it happened. There's something about being in the moment that makes us feel different. Am I right? Now, y'all maybe that's just me. But I can't get as excited about a memory as I did when the memory happened. Right? It's just you know, when I think about a big ball game, I love the Razorbacks. When I think about a ball game back when that we won, when I think back about it, it's good. It's been a long time ago. I don't remember it real well. It's a memory. We're hoping it's a future. I hope we're in the gap right now. I'm hoping. But I think back to it and it's good. You smile back. I remember when we beat, you know, the Devils team, LSU. I remember that. And those times. But I don't even get excited as when they're running, and I'm all excited, jumping up and down when it's happening. Because it's just memories aren't as exciting as the moment that they represent. The moment's always better. And that's what the Pharisees could not get. They're sitting here and they're saying, hey, we're talking about the same memories he's talking about. We're talking about what God did for the Israelites and the Hebrew people when he brought them out of Egypt. We're talking about the same stuff. But what they didn't realize is these people that were gathering around Jesus, they weren't just hearing memories, they were making moments. They were making moments. They were making something fresh for right now. They weren't living a gap life. They weren't living in that gap. It was real for them right now. Of course, we know that the Pharisees, they were flabbergasted by this. They didn't understand the excitement. They didn't understand why people reacted the way they did. They didn't understand why people were following him around. So what did they do? They do what most people do when they don't understand something. They either condemn it or make fun of it. Right? Ain't that usually what we do when we don't really understand something? We either condemn it or we make fun of it. One or two. And they did both. They began to mock it. Look at these people acting all foolish. They're not acting professional. They're not acting like something. See, they didn't understand. They just lived in memories. I guarantee you, if Caesar walked by them people and Pharisees, they'd have fell all over themselves. Right? Because that would have been a moment. Their problem was they weren't having any spiritual moments. They were just having spiritual memories that they didn't even live to see. They weren't there when the Hebrew children come out of Egypt. They didn't know that. They didn't get to experience that freedom right there in that moment. But they could have experienced that freedom with Jesus right there in that moment if they would have just realized it. So they made fun of it. Today that happens still today. We don't understand why people act the way they do. Why are they acting like that in service? That's not how we're supposed to act in church. Why are people doing this? Why are people? We don't get it. And I was studying this and reading about this, and I realized something, that moments are exciting. Right? I guarantee you, if your favorite ball player walked through here right now, y'all forget anything I'm preaching right now. It wouldn't matter. You'd be excited. And you would, when a big moment happens in your life, I guarantee you don't say, well, good. Well, good. No, you get excited. You may not show it, but you're excited. Whoa! I'm that guy. When I get excited, everybody knows about it. Sarah, we'll be watching a ball game. She's like, you be quiet, the baby's sleeping. The baby needs to be awake for this. It's big time. And then about halfway through, she's like, you be quiet, you're getting mad. The baby needs to just leave the house right now. She don't need to see this. Oh, man. I had a flashback of the TCU game. I'm sorry. But really, the moments are big. Moments are exciting. And the Pharisees, they made fun of them. They bashed them. And today, people still do that. They don't understand. And I figured this out. I think this is the real deal. I think this is good. Maybe our job as Christians isn't to evaluate everybody else's moment. Maybe our job as Christians is just to make sure we're having ourselves.
Yes. Yes. Amen.
The woman with the issue of blood crawled to Jesus. She just crawled quiet. I don't think anybody heard her. Who's that crawling around? Nobody heard her. Jesus just said, hey, somebody touched me. And they said, no, what? They never even, she just kind of slunk on by because that's all she had the energy to do. That was her moment. It wasn't real loud, it wasn't real big, but it happened. And it isn't anybody's job to say, well, why didn't, she didn't even stand up. That was her moment. And the man with legion in him, it says he comes running through there. He wasn't dressed for the situation. He comes running through there like a wild man, gets on his knees and says, free me. Everybody knew about that. Everybody in the area seen that happen. But that's what he had. That's all he had control of in his life. That's the only thing. I believe he was so in struggle in his life. The Bible says he had legion, and that's thousands and thousands of demons. That's what that is. I think that was really the only thing he probably felt like he could control, was just get to him in any way he could and just said, I need freedom. And that was his moment. And people mocked both moments. Can I tell you that today? There was people that mocked both moments. And there's people today that mock moments Christians have every day. I can't believe they act like that. Or I can't believe they didn't do this. Or they didn't even act the least bit excited. Or boy, they acted overly excited. I'm telling you, it's not our job to decide how somebody's moment's supposed to go. It's our job to make moments for ourselves and for our families. That's our job. And that's what Jesus is here to do today. He's here to make moments with you right now. What happened a long time ago is good. What may have happened for you, this great spiritual awakening that may have happened for you, this great moment that you had, it's great. It's good to think back on those things. It really is. It's good to count your many blessings and remember what God has done for you. That is great. But can I tell you that it's going to be hard to be excited. It's going to be hard to be sold out. It's going to be hard to be where you need to be with the Lord if you're living on a memory from 10 years ago. Right?
Yes.
If the last good thing that happened to you at your job happened 10 years ago, are you excited about going to work in the morning? No. But if the last good thing happened to you Friday, you might be a little more anxious to get up in the morning. Right? Or if the last good thing that happened to you is it's going to happen to you tomorrow, you're really going to be anxious to get there. Glory to God. Friday, we had free hot dogs at work, and I couldn't get up. I got up at 5:30. I was excited. I was like thrilled. They were the petty jean kind, the big ones. Glory to God, I showed out. Making moments. Next thing is just the future. We talked about the past and all the things that entails. But also we can be guilty of just looking forward. When this happens, I'm going to get in. You ever heard of that? When this happens, I'm going to get in. On the other side of the gap is the future. And I'm going to get serious about God. I'm going to get serious about church. I'm going to get serious about all the things I need to get serious about, that I know I need to get serious about. I'm going to get serious about them after this. And your this can be anything. Your this can be when I get married, if you're young. When I start a family. When I get this job. Or when I get this, nest egg stored up in my bank account. Or when my kids move out. Because they cause me to sin a lot. Or when this happens, or when that happens, then I'm going to get really serious. Can I tell you the problem with the future is it doesn't exist yet. Right? It doesn't exist yet. The future doesn't exist. So if you're waiting for something that doesn't exist, you're never going to get there. Good old Brother Garth Brooks sang a song, If Tomorrow Never Comes. I don't know if y'all have seen it, if you've heard it, you're too holy. But back in my wilder days, I listened to it once, I think. The good Bishop Garth. But really, can I tell you today, if you're waiting for tomorrow to get it, I'm going to get, hey, I tell you what, you know what, when this happens, when I'm not so busy, I'm going to get in. When my kids ain't got so many ball games, when my kids ain't got so many school stuff, when I'm not running around crazy for work, when I get a job where I can kind of get better hours, when this happens, when that happens, when you know, whatever. Can I tell you today, there's people every day that leave this world, and this hadn't happened yet. Now, I ain't trying to say it to be scare anybody, but it's true. There's people every day that tomorrow doesn't come, and this didn't get accomplished. And what then? That ain't my place to say, but I wouldn't want to be in that. That scares me. There's going to be a day when the rapture takes place. If you don't understand what I'm talking about there's going to be, the Bible tells us there's a time when the Lord's going to come back for His people. Okay? And I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about here. So that time's going to come, and there's going to be people this hasn't happened yet. There's going to be people who are sitting at their house saying, well, I tell you what, when I get this promotion, I'm going to get into church. When I meet Mr. or Mrs. Right, I'm going to get into church. I had somebody tell me that not long ago. Well, if I could get a spiritual partner that would help me do right, why don't you be that spiritual partner for somebody? Why don't you be the person that causes someone else to do right instead of needing somebody else to do that for you? But there's people every day that leave this world. There's going to be a day when a whole lot of people are going to be found out they're left behind. And this didn't happen. Don't wait on the future. The future's uncertain. The future doesn't exist yet. There's going to be a time when the future does exist, and you know what it's going to be called? Now. This moment. Right now. Live in that. Make sure you're being your very best right now. Make sure you're living your very best for the Lord. Make sure you're seeking. Make sure you're giving everything you have for right now. I promise you, I can't, you hear money back guarantees and things like that. And I don't know, there's a lot of things that aren't guaranteed. But I think I can very faithfully say, I promise you, guarantee you that if you do that, you won't regret it. You won't say, man, I wish I hadn't started living so good, so quick. That was my kid, y'all. Glory to God. So what did the preacher preach about? I don't know. He just said something about Garth Brooks. So let's talk about Jesus now. Jesus is now. He is right now. He is this moment. His message is now. Right? We read about him in Bible study. We just went through Mark and we talked about all the things and Jesus preached and all this. It's not like the last iPhone you bought. It doesn't go out of date. It doesn't go out of style. It's now. It was then. Jesus' message, love, hope, forgiveness, peace. It was then, but it's also now. And it's going to be tomorrow. It's timeless, y'all. His message is now. Realize that. When you're reading it, I hear this a lot, and he's speaking to them in their time. And there's some of that stuff that is the case. There are some things in how he says it is for them in their time. But guys, love is always. Jesus is always. He says that clearly. Grace, thank God, is always. Those things are timeless. Live them today. Realize that they're just as much for you as they were for the disciples. The message is now. The calling is now. Your calling is for now. Sometimes we're bad about that. Well, I think I know my calling, and I'm just ready for the Lord to open that door. If you know your calling, He's opened the door. Yes. Peter's over there fishing, and he says, hey, drop your nets. Let's go be fishers of men. He's thinking, what? He said, hey, no, it's important that you go with me now. Your calling is right now. There's one guy that says, I got to bury my daddy. And he says, let them take care of that. I need you right now. Right? Now, Jesus wasn't saying that, saying don't care about your family. He was just saying the urgency of the calling that He's placed on people's lives. It's going right now. He says the dead can bury the dead. Understand today that each and every individual here has a calling. It ain't, well, this one does, and then skip forward, and that one, and then, this one, and that one. No, everyone here has a calling. When you were born, He placed a future. When He molded you and created you, there was a plan, right? There's a calling on your life. There's something that He has placed you here to do that only you can do. You were created special for it. It makes me feel good. I don't know about y'all. That makes me feel really good. And He's called you to do it right now. Not tomorrow, I'm not used to. We can be guilty of that. That's what I was used to. That's what I was used to supposed to do. But now I've got too old, or this has happened in my life, and that has happened in my life, and I can't do that anymore. If God's called you to do it, He's called you to do it. Don't let people, don't let circumstances, don't let situations, don't let that control your calling. Your calling is right now. He wants you to make a moment in it right now. Glory to God. And my favorite thing, and this is how I'm going to close because this is great. His grace is right now. Amen. When the prodigal son realized that he had messed up in a major way, right? Woke up in a pig pen. I don't know, but I'm figuring that's rock bottom. Wakes up in a pig pen, says, I remember my dad, my servants at the dad's house ate a lot better than I'm eating, right? It says he got up and he headed home, and the father seen him and ran to him. Who knows when he hugged him, he didn't whisper in his ear, son, you've got to make all this up. I'm going to give you 2 weeks to show me you've changed. No, that didn't happen like that. He didn't grab him and say, here's the ring, but I'm going to save the cloak for later. I'm going to make sure you're the real deal. Or he didn't throw the robe over him and say, I'm going to keep the ring because I don't trust you. You may pawn it. Right? You may fall back into what you were. No. It was that moment grace was delivered. It was no earning it later on. There was no future. There was no past. There was just right now. And he was forgiven. He was set free, and he was new. And can I tell you today, there is no gap in grace. Grace is for you right now. What you've done doesn't matter. And what you're going to do doesn't exist yet. The grace is for right now. Realize that today. He doesn't bestow it and say, all right, let's see how long this lasts. That's what people do. That's what people do. That's not what Jesus does. That ain't the real Jesus. He says, you're forgiven. Live free in this moment. If you live free in the moment, you're always going to live free because you're always going to be in the moment. Glory to God. Let's all stand all over the house. Let's begin to come.